Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Timelines Unbound. And this one's going to be an interesting one. This is going to be our first, all-out war episode. I haven't made a lot of changes off camera. Byzantine's got a small expansion because I forgot to do it last episode. And we're going to start up in here because these guys aren't in the war. They're going to expand a lot. They're going to expand eastways a lot, significantly. They're also going to be developing, more technology. They're one of those technocratic nations, I guess. And they look like this now. Very nice. Korea is going to unlock more of Japan. We also have this nation down here, which was created recently. This nation down here in the Amazon. And this one in Libya, which was created to oppose Israel. So we'll see how that goes. But Egypt's kind of separating them right now. So I fear for Israel. Actually, I fear for this nation. Anyways, a lot of diplomacy has been happening behind the scenes while all these front lines were being held up. First of all, Iceland is going to entirely surrender to the Scottish. They're going to kind of stage it so it looks like they lost, but in reality, they made a deal with the Scottish to give it all up so they don't have to fight the war. The Vikings are going to have their minds blown when they realize that the Scottish now occupy all of this territory up here. However, their front line is still expanding, very rapidly at that. And the Scottish are not putting up quite a good defense. And these aren't even Viking troops. These are mostly English troops that the Vikings kind of just enslaved. Portuguese troops are forced to surrender as Cornwall is finally taken over. Anyways, the Slovakians are just filled with complete wrath, and they are tearing through a global superpower right now, like it's dinner. The Slovakians are one of the most warrior-like nations out there, and they're putting up a very good fight, because the Germans have never fought a war before. The Slovakians, they fought the Hungarians. The Hungarian tribesmen that they fought off camera. And they're slowly surrounding the German capital. This is until some Viking troops show up, and they are forced to get pushed back a little bit. And the capital is secured once again. Over here, some defensive lines are set up. The Muscovians agree not to push as long as the Ukrainians do not hurt any more Muscovian people. And they're going to keep this occupied so it doesn't appear as if they betrayed their allies, even though they did. However, as part of an emergency plan, the Ukrainians in Dnipro are going to move their troops all the way, or their capital all the way down here. Their old capital is evacuated for the safety of their people. Both Tver and Dnipro are going to begin sending troops to Albania to begin a very large counteroffensive against Rome. It's also about this time we see Iron Land enter into the Three-Point Alliance after heavy diplomacy. They try to reason with Popeyes, but Popeyes does not join in because they're still, not ready to fight the Romans. They can't really do an invasion like this. With combined forces from multiple nations, the Albanians are finally going to start making a counteroffensive up, and they eventually do kick the Romans out of their territories. They can now begin planning an offensive maneuver. The first thing they do is establish blockades over here against the Roman navy. The Byzantines are going to send their ships over to Rome, the area surrounding Rome. They're also going to send ships over here from Tirana over to this area, Napoli. Spekish troops are also going to land in the lesser countryside areas because they are a vassal of Albania. They've also been around here a little. It appears as if Rome is cooked. Yeah, put simply, the first people to make the landing are going to be the Spekish, all the way over here and up here, around here on the side of Rome. Byzantines, using a large amount of Ukrainian forces, also make landings around here. Grey Rome agrees to give the Albanians military access, so they began pushing in this way, alongside some Spekish troops in this way. And they start moving their way up the peninsula. These smaller movements here are absorbed into the greater Albanian army, which is kind of on a dead set path down to Rome. These Byzantines make a mistake. They try to immediately assault Rome, but they are unsuccessful and pushed back all the way to this area. These guys are absorbed. And it's not looking great for the Romans. However, they do kick these guys out. Slovakia is also going to be making advances in support of their allies, but not really allies. They're in a different alliance, but they're on the same side, really. And this is actually going to prove a mistake for the Slovakians, because, they have another front up here. So the Germans begin pushing the Slovakians back to their homeland, and the Slovakians do an emergency, which is building walls. Yeah, they're going to build... Are these on the alliance letters? Yeah. They build a large coastal fort over here in Istria, connecting up to the Great Hungarian Wall, and they begin building multiple layers of walls over here. This is a feature exclusive to Slovakians, building walls. I don't know why they do it, but they're really good at it. Ironlanders begin pushing into Germany. Weakened Germany has all their troops down here, and eventually the Ironlanders meet up over here in their capital, and a bunch of troops have to move up here to fight the Ironlanders. So they do get up a lot, and a very, very large battle ensues between the three of these forces, or well, these two sides. There are a large percent of Viking and enslaved troops coming down here to join the fight, and it's going to be very brutal. It's going to last very long. The Romans begin making counteroffensives down here with a strengthened economy. The Vikings begin making landings in Ireland. Their original plan wasn't to destroy the Irish, but the Irish kind of made them angry, and they are going to surround the capital of Ulster, begin marching into West Ireland over here. Now, Ireland isn't the most dense area in terms of infrastructure, so they kind of plow through the countryside here because they're Vikings. They're going to do that. And they also approach Desmond here, which is deep danger. While that's all happening, Madagascans make a landing over here in eastern Africa. Castilians began lining up against the Portugal, poising the war, and it finally happens when the Castilians... Castilians finally join in the Black Thunderbolt Alliance after a very long grudge against the Portuguese. This shocks the Portuguese, who are, already kind of shocked from the war. They take over this entire Portugal area, and the capital of Portugal is Portuguesa, I guess that's what they're officially called, is very quickly surrounded. Bordeaux retaliates and begins invading over here. They also take this one. Outpost. Take down the outpost there. And they begin retaliating against the Castilians, who kind of forgot that Bordeaux was in their alliance. However, the Castilians do begin making pushbacks because they do have a very large army. Ulster finally falls. Desmond follows later. The entirety of Ireland is officially under Viking control. This is not a good day for the Irish. The Vikings also invade Iceland up here because it's under Scottish control. They take it for their own to punish Iceland severely when this war is over, apparently. Assuming they win it. Iceland is kind of excommunicated from the alliance for the betrayal, so not good. This front line is still stagnant. Unfortunately for the international community, this battle results in a German victory. Yeah. Brought a good guys with let's see how this works. So combined Viking, Hollinger, and German troops finally win this battle over here, and these troops are very shocked, so they're going to make large pushbacks all the way down here to the walls. Ireland is kicked out. The Slovaks are also kind of kicked out of Rome, so much for their fighting spirit. However, the Romans try to invade the coast over here, but they're unsuccessful. As you can see, it's not working. While all that was happening, the Albanians made major progress towards the capital of Rome, and another very, very bloody battle is going to ensue. It's going to take multiple years to finish. Not years, but probably weeks, maybe months. It's the darkest of days for Scotland because they are losing their territory. Finally, Inverness falls, and the entire northern side of their country is taken. The Vikings are just a very superior force to anything else because of naval raiding tactics. The Vikings also liberate their territories up here. Scottish. Yeah, this isn't looking so good for the good guys, isn't it? Portugal falls. Now Bordeaux is finally being pushed back. This territory is given back to the Vikings. Now Bordeaux is being invaded. The Vikings also make landfall in Brittany, which is problematic. They have a very large naval force acquired over here after finally succeeding in Britain. Scotland's not going to hold off for much longer. They begin moving their way down the coast to hopefully landlock Bordeaux, and ultimately Bordeaux does the smart thing in this situation. surrender to the Vikings. And that's another power taken out of the war. Anyways, the Vikings excommunicate Muscovy after finding out their kind of scheme to not fight anybody, and the Vikings are very, very upset. They make landfall in northern Ireland and begin pushing back against their not very good army. Yeah, Ireland is a very neutral nation, and it was kind of a mistake for them to join this war, honestly. Ireland is significantly damaged, and they agree to surrender so long as their capital area is not damaged, which is accepted by the Vikings. Muscovy is officially excommunicated from the alliance from the Vikings, and they decide to retaliate. They join in on... So, they join the coalition against the Vikings. Yep, what a turn of events. Immediately afterwards, Golden Kiev is finally liberated. It was about time. And now, the full might of the Ruthenian Pact is ready to take out their anger upon the Vikings. Very quickly, Ireland is slowly liberated, or very quickly liberated. Their capital is taken over, and this shock and awe tactic very much surprises the Vikings. All is good. The first wall has been broken. The Germans are making their way through ever so slightly. Scotland falls, and now the Vikings can fully force on everything else, really. The Vikings land in Sicily and immediately take over Rome. What the heck happened there? Okay. They take over Rome, and yeah, Rome has seen better days. They're a very weak nation now. And a lot of Albanian troops are captured in the process. They also make landing in Speckland and begin ravaging the countryside. These Vikings are not joking around this time. Finally, Popeyes joins in on the coalition because they do not like all this hostility happening. And for the first time, they make landing in Rome, and they do it hard because their navy has very much expanded since their first war. However, their Aragon colony is very quickly taken over, and so is for years over here, by the Castilians. And the Castilians have, wow, they've succeeded in everything they wanted to do. They've taken over all of this. So joining this alliance has been very fruitful. Speckman falls, and so does the wall. Oh, this isn't good. That huge fighting spirit from the Slovakians doesn't do them much more good, as they're very quickly invaded by the Germans, which rekindle their superpower status, and they're also joined by Viking troops, Icelandic troops, slaves, and it's overall a tragedy. Slovakia capitulates, and all of the walls are down in the process. And Hungarian tribes are getting away. Very soon, Rome begins to be liberated by Vikings, basically the entire Axis. The capital is taken back and marks a siege and constant battle. The Albanians finally get that over. Ireland once again falls under Viking. Now the Viking invasion of Albania is finally yeah, it's not looking good for the good guys. It's Vikings do take over most of Scotland. Castile takes over Sardinia, and ultimately Corsica falls later. Albania is pushed through, destroyed, and burned. Scorched earth tactics are used en masse here. Finally, the Vikings have a direct border with the Byzantines. This is not good. However, there is a shimmering beam of light, and the capital of Albania is under siege. However, they are going to put up probably the greatest fight in history. This is easily the deadliest battle ever, the Battle of Tirana. The Byzantines are pushed into. Thessaloniki is lost, a naval port, a major naval port, if you will. Their newly found territory is taken over, and they begin sieging Constantinople. All of those efforts, all of the movement, all of the justice, for naught. And very soon the capital of Dnipro is lost to probably the greatest army in history, a combined troop of maybe 200,000 troops. And the war is over. The Vikings have won. The Axis has won. And let's not look at the peace deal.